Hello, viewer. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Full Record Jacket with Phil and Ben. And on today's edition, Ben is coming via a mobile phone because he doesn't know where he's put his laptop.
I'm an idiot. That's what it is, Phil. I'm an idiot. I'm not going to lie to you. I've hidden it well for years, but it turns out I'm a little bit of a moron. So I don't know if I'm speaking really loudly or too quietly or anything. So people just have to make do, Phil. It's like being in the war. You have to make do with what you've got. Keep calm, carry on.
Well, in my ears, you sound okay. I can hear what you're saying.
That phrase basically meant you're probably going to die, but just don't panic about it.
I can hear what you're saying, which, whether that's an advantage or not is debatable, but it's the way the show normally is. So, we'll keep it going like that. Yeah.
Ill prepared.
Yeah.
And because I'm using my phone, I'm having to use this to, if I need to research any information, and I've just let it lock. And now I can't get into it. So I'm literally running blind. The internet is not my friend.
So 1997.
Yes. Good year.
That's the year we're in. What have you been listening to?
Well, I've actually been listening to a fair bit. Now, I did start off listening to James's Whiplash album. Now, I've never been a massive James fan. I've always been a kind of a singles fan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I've listened to 3/4 of Whiplash, and it's made me see James in a whole different light. I've really enjoyed that album so far. I'm going to go back. I'm going to listen to it later when I pop out. I'm going to put it on in the car. But so far, I'm really enjoying that album as it goes.
Now, I'm trying to think. I don't have a very good timeline of James in my head. I remember I first heard of them around the same time everyone else first heard of them, which is what that have been 1990. When they had Sit Down. Now, I think, had they existed for some years before that? Were they a bit of a cult band?
I would be able to check, but I can't.
I'll look them up.
I'm sure they had. I'm sure they weren't they active from sort of about 87, 88, something like that?
They're from Manchester. Yeah, they were formed in 1982.
Ooh, so really, they're almost as old as you, Phil.
They are quite old.
1982. What were you? 38 then?
So I'm just looking at this history. We go right back. Yeah. Paul Gilbertson persuaded Jim Glennie to buy a bass guitar and form a band. So
is it Tim Roth, the lead singer?
Well, Tim Booth was the main
singer. Tim Booth. I don't know why I've got Tim Roth. I think that's a mixture of.
I think you're mixing Van Halen into that or something, are you?
Yeah. No, who's the actor from Reservoir Dogs?
Okay, yeah. Is there a Tim somebody in there?
No, but his surname's Roth. And obviously I can't check, so I'm out of luck, dude. I'm out of knowledge. Just shows what a shortfall I've got going on.
I love this. They met they had a bit of a changing lineup. They met Tim Booth at a student disco.
No. Pulling some shapes.
And he originally joined as a dancer and then was promoted to be a lead singer.
If only they'd done the same with Bez.
That was a bit of a thing. Was that a bit of a thing with bands in Manchester that you had a dancer?
Yeah. That's basically why Howard Donald and Jason Orange were employed, because they could dance.
Well, yeah, I guess so. And they got.
Just imagine just going through your whole career and going to people. I'm in a band. What do you do? Oh, you play keyboards? No. You play drums? No. Glockenspiel? No. So what do you do there? I'm the dancer. You are. I'm the guy who stands there. Wow.
That seems to be about it, doesn't it? So They actually put out the Sit Down EP, which doesn't contain that song though. But they did a Sit Down EP in 1986. But yeah, I'm just looking at the.
So that came out back then.
Well, the song "Sit Down" didn't come out in '86. They had an EP called "Sit Down," but it didn't have that song.
Yes.
So the first album was '86, called "Stutter." Then '88 they did "Strip Mine," and then "Gold Mother" was 1990.
And that's the one with "Sit Down" on it, isn't it?
Then there was one called "Seven," which I don't really remember very well, from 1992.
No.
Oh, I do remember it because it's got that baby's feet on it.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Then there's "Laid." I remember that one. That was quite a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think then the one you're on,
Whiplash, which has got "She's a Star" on it, which the video has Keely Hawes from Ashes to Ashes fame in it. Always a lot for Keely Hawes.
There's another one in there, Wah Wah. They did one in '94 called Wah Wah. Remember that one? I don't remember that one at all.
Yes, I do remember that one. Only because I used to remember when you could hire, is that, or borrow CDs from the library.
Yeah.
I always remember Wah Wah because I had a toss up between borrowing Wah Wah because I thought I quite like the name, or the Stone Roses, Complete Stone Roses, and I went with the Complete Stone Roses. Turns out not every Stone Roses track was on there, so it's kind of the incomplete Stone Roses.
Yes, it's not actually complete. I think it might be a complete collection of their singles, though, from that period.
Yeah, but then it should be called the Complete Singles Collection.
Yes, it should be. It really should be. Yeah.
So Ian Brown, if you're listening, and I know you do, sort it out, son.
So that's Whiplash. So that's, I presume she's Miss Whiplash, I presume. And that's it. So it's actually quite good then.
Yeah, I've actually quite enjoyed that. I listened. I'm halfway through Foo Fighters' "Colour in the Shape," which I've quite enjoyed. There's bits of it I think I'd have to be in the mood for it, but it's got three great. You know, if all you wanted to listen to was Monkey Wrench, Everlong, and My Hero, then it's the album for you because those three are on it. And My Hero is a great track. One second, I've just got a phone call coming in on my phone.
Is that the phone that you're actually talking to us on?
So I'm just going to send a quick message.
Okay.
And then I'll be back.
You do that. He's now paused for you.
The trouble with technology when
he's obviously doing too many things at once with that phone.
Yeah. So I had to send a message. I've informed my mother that I am recording with Dr. Evil. So, but yeah, no. So far from what I've listened to, it's a good album. But I don't think it will challenge my top three. And then is
that what Dr. Evil does? He does that, doesn't he? He doesn't
do
that.
Yeah. And one album which everybody will probably think will challenge my top three, I don't think will challenge. I can almost say now it's not going to challenge my top three, and it may be controversial,
right?
Because it's a big album from that period, and it's the Verve's Urban Hymns. Because the first three tracks, which off the top of my head, well, the opening track, Bittersweet Symphony, is possibly one of the greatest opening tracks of any album ever of all time. And then I think you've got Sonnet and Lucky Man or something like that. But anyway, the first track is a stomper. But then it gets halfway through and then it just loses momentum and it just becomes, it doesn't.
Are you saying the drugs don't work?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, some of those tracks are smitten in there, and you're like, "Oh yeah." I think that album falls into a certain category where the singles were brilliant. So, Sonnet, Drugs Don't Work, Lucky Man, and Bittersweet Symphony, because they're four really great tracks. Kind of makes the others feel a bit less impactful.
And how many times have you listened to that album?
A few, and every time I've listened
They
to
never
it,
get better. The other tracks never get better.
it never. I bought the album at the time, obviously on CD, and I have over the years listened to it, hoping that it will have. Because I've done it with a lot of albums where I've gone, like James Whiplash, where I've heard bits of it, then I've gone and listened to it. And thought, oh yeah, I really enjoy this. And it is an album I should really, really enjoy. And it's probably an album that's probably better live than recorded. But I think because you've got those 3, 4 really big tracks, it kind of, the others don't really live up to it in a way. I am going to give it another going through, but
I'm going to bust it out and see what I think.
Yeah, I just think 20, what are we now, 27 years later, if it hasn't got me now, I don't think it ever will. So, yeah. And I listened to it because I was out on a walk where it's just, you know, I am the audience of one and it will captivate me.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the albums are shite. They're good. They just don't grab me.
Can you remember these songs, the deep cuts? Can you remember them?
I could remember. I can't remember the titles. There's no one about butterflies.
Have you
Dream
thought of
of mine, catching the
ever thought of programming it with taking off all the hit singles that you know and just listening to those album tracks to see whether
but
it grabs you, or they're just not? Are they just not very good? I need to listen to it again.
Yeah, it's not the fact they're not good, and they do. You know, like I said, the butterfly, that one that goes, catching the butterflies in that dream of mine. That's not about it. It's a real difficult one for me because it's not bad. It's not a bad album. I just don't think it's as great as what people say it is. But then again, people say that about Be Here Now, but I'm probably just more invested in that. And the tracks, for all their faults, they do grab me. You know, things like Fading Out, Be Here Now, My Big Mouth. I do relate to them in a way, and I'm quite picky when it comes to stuff like this. And I feel kind of bad because the Verve should be in there. If I was going to select it just on the 4 singles, I think it would be in there. But maybe I'll give it another listen, and it'll be up there. But I can't see it at the moment. Maybe it might. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. You know, always wear sunscreen.
So that's the shocker then. The Verve's urban hymns may not make Ben's top 3. If that
it
was
may not be in my top 3.
And you were expecting that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of others I'm going to listen to this week, and I know one of them isn't going to hit my top 3, and that's the Chemical Brothers Dig Your Own Hole. For another reason as well is that kind of music doesn't really do anything for me anyway. But Setting Sun, Block Rocking Beats are great tracks, but the rest of it to me is just a bit of a headache. But I am going to give it a listen. I am going to give Blur album a listen to this week. I'm going to give Portishead's album a listen to this week, and I'm going to give Erykah Badu's album a listen to this week.
Well, I've got a couple of albums from '97 by veterans that are probably going to threaten my top 3.
Why am I not surprised? Did Neil Young have an album out that year?
He didn't have an album out that year. I know it's a bit mad that I just, I really liked Neil Young in the 90s.
Is one of them Paul McCartney?
He might be. It might be.
You say veteran, but I think when that album came out, he was about the same age as what Noel Gallagher is now.
Well, he was about the same age as I am now. So, you know, and I thought at the time, I thought he was this really old guy that went back years.
And now, I just think you're that really old guy.
Exactly. So there's that. But then there's another album, which I won't reveal, but there's another album by an American band that might make my top 3.
Oh.
Which might be a bit of a outlier coming in there. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I find it a difficult one, 97.
Yeah.
Like all these years in the 90s, there's a lot of records that I think are good, but I find it quite difficult to come down on which ones I think are the best three sometimes.
Yeah, see, I'm suffering from, obviously, as you grow up, you kind of not pigeonhole, but you have those ones that you really enjoy, and they're the ones that stick in my mind more than anything. And it's great that we're doing it, because I'm going back and listening to albums that I probably didn't listen to enough at the time, or I kind of ignored. But especially nice, I would say 2/3 of my top three are already chosen. But 97, I'm obvious. You know what one of them's going to be, and that's already in there because I'm connected with it. But
it was your 97. That was what 97 was all about for you.
It was. But the rest of it is kind of, it's almost like a great year for music, 97. There's a lot of stuff out there. But I think because I was so invested in one thing, I'm sort of, then again, I did send you an album to listen to the other day, the Supernaturals. That's a really great indie pop album. And I'm going to re-listen to that. I listened to it not long ago because I bought it on vinyl, but I'm going to re-listen to it because I think that one might be pushing my top three, because if I remember, it's just a really good album.
I'll tell you another album from 97. I mean, you just mentioned the Verve Urban Hymns, and you've just alluded to Oasis Be Here Now. These were the big albums of that year in terms of sales.
Radiohead,
in terms of sales. The other one I'm about to say is Radiohead, OK Computer.
And Prodigy.
That was a big one as well.
Yeah.
The Radiohead one I bought at the time and liked it at the time, but I don't know if I ever loved OK Computer. It's one of those albums that I kind of admired more than loved.
Yeah, no, I get that.
So I don't know whether OK Computer will make my top three. In fact, I have a feeling it's not going to. If my personal top three. If I had to pick the three best albums of 97, obviously that would have to be a big contender.
In there, yeah.
But if I'm picking my personal favourites that I most would like to listen to, I don't think it's going to make it.
No, well, I didn't really get into OK Computer till a couple of years ago when I bought the Deluxe vinyl set. And I love things like Karma Police, Paranoid Android. It is one of them that you put it on and it is really good, but I don't have that connection with it. I didn't listen to it at the time, and I feel like I'll be cheating myself slightly if I put it in on a bit like the Verve, on the strength of the singles, really. I'm in quite deep today, Philster. Maybe it's because I'm on a small screen.
Maybe it is.
But yeah, no, I've got a fair bit to listen to, and I've listened to a fair amount. Two places up for grabs.
So what's another one that I should listen to from 97?
Blur's Blur album.
Blur's Blur album. I'm just looking at this list from You Discover Music, which is quite American.
Yeah, you got Portishead album, which I'm gonna.
Okay, the Portishead one. This is
Dummy was a great album. Did Massive Attack have an album out 97? Was that 98, Mezzanine?
I think that was 98. Primal Scream, Vanishing Point.
Oh yes, that was out this year, wasn't it?
I think that could be a contender for me. Another one that I wasn't really into at the time. A lot of people liked it at the time. Beth Orton's Trailer Park. Remember that one?
I remember that album. Yeah. You know what that always reminds me of, that album? I don't know why, but they're probably nothing like each other sonically, but the sort of furore around it that you should have bought it and you should have listened to it is the a PJ Harvey album from about 2000, 2001, was it?
Is that Stories of the City?
Yeah,
Stories of the
yeah,
Sea.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
I've
obviously,
got that.
yeah, they. I've got it on CD somewhere. They're probably nothing alike, but they kind of both had that same sort of thingy around them, where this is a great female solo artist, and you should go listen to it.
What about Modest Mouse?
Was that when Johnny Marr was in them?
I actually don't know whether Johnny Marr was in it at that point.
I do have a Modest Mouse album from about
The Lonesome Crowded West.
2001 with like a pink cover.
What about the Cuban album that lots of people went crazy for? Do you remember Buena Vista Social Club?
Yeah, yeah. I remember them being quite sort of.
That
But
was,
never.
I felt that was kind of like the Paul Simon's Graceland of the 90s.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it was the album that lots of people of all ages liked.
It was the album that Lou Bega just wishes he made.
He wishes he'd made it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's good. Yes, I mean,
there's a lot, isn't there? There's almost too much.
There's a lot of these where I think, yeah, it's probably good.
But are you my favourite? That's the question.
And there's a few R&B and rap ones on here because it's this American list. There will be more of those. Oh, what about What about Spiritualized? Because you picked them for the other year, didn't you?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, is it that one?
We Are Floating in Space.
Floating in Space, yeah, yeah. Because obviously, I think Puff Daddy had an album out in '97, and I think Biggie Smalls had one out, didn't he, as well? And Missy Elliott. I'm sure Missy Elliott had an album out in '97.
And what about Scotland's finest duo, Belle and Sebastian?
Yeah, I thought you said the Proclaimers.
That's what I was trying to get you into saying. This list they've put Radiohead.
I wonder if they'll change the lyrics to that song when they're in mobility scooters.
They've changed. They've put Radiohead at #1 on this particular list.
But yeah, it's Belle and Sebastian. Is that the Milk and?
It's If You're Feeling Sinister.
See, I do like Belle and Sebastian. I remember Joe Wiley used to really rave about Belle and Sebastian.
They're very highly rated by a lot of music people. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think it's worth a listen.
I'm going to put that on my list. Belle and Sebastian. See, look at this. I've come prepared. I've got a pen and I've got paper.
The Notorious B.I.G. Life After Death. I heard that at the time.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it was fine, but it's a hip-hop album to me. There's not very many of them that really grab me that much, to be honest.
Yeah, see, I do like my hip-hop, but it's got to be, got to have a message. And I don't think I listen... Did I listen to that album? Possibly. I don't know. But I will listen to that Biggie Smalls album because obviously, as you can see, up here, it is up here somewhere. There he is at the top.
Oh, yeah.
With his little crown on. But yeah, we've still got a fair amount to listen to, Philster, to climb the 97 tree.
There's a lot. You'll never get through this lot.
No, no. This is why I'm listening to stuff that I should have listened to, but I'm also pinpointing the 3 albums that I'm more connected with.
Now, how about it's another indie album, which I've never listened to, which was rated highly, I remember. Yo La Tengo.
Is that the no, not Mowgli.
I Can Hear the Heart Beating as One. The band is Yo La Tengo.
Oh, doesn't ring any bells. No, Mowgli had an album out at this point. Well, not this point.
I remember this was
Byron.
I remember this being written about by critics, but had no way to really get hold of a copy of it, and I never.
Oh yeah, because the internet wasn't invented.
Exactly, there was no easy way to hear it.
No LimeWire.
Now this was. Let's just look at the because they are from America. They're New Jersey, so you think it would appeal to me?
Pavement. I remember Pavement being a big thing because Damon Albarn was a big fan, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't. The front cover doesn't really. I don't remember this front cover very well. It's like a city at night looking down a bridge. I don't remember that album cover at all.
No,
so this isn't one that I was particularly aware of at all. I don't know them very well at all, but maybe I should be listening to it because they were.
Maybe you should, Bill. So maybe you need to make some time in those earlobes of yours.
Yeah, maybe I should get into Yo La Tengo or YLT.
Yeah, and I think you should say that band name on a daily basis.
They come from Hoboken, New Jersey. Do you know who else came from Hoboken, New Jersey?
Bon Jovi?
They were New Jersey, but I think they were a different town. Hoboken was Frank Sinatra.
Ooh.
I'm not sure they sound. I think they're going to sound very much like Frank Sinatra.
Old Blue Eyes.
But no, I might have to listen to some of that stuff.
I almost bought some Frank Sinatra yesterday, and I didn't. I was being good. I wasn't purchasing any vinyl.
Well, I don't think that'll last very long, Ben.
No, it won't. No. And that's been said to me before.
Well, viewers, have we mentioned any albums of '97 that you were about to say? Or do you need to still write in the comments to tell us that we got it totally wrong and we're ignoring some sonic masterpieces that our uncultured minds have completely overlooked, underrated, and quite blatantly ignored? Let us know in the comments.
Sounds like the story of my life.
In the meantime, thanks for watching. Take care. See you again.